The city never truly slept, but it had its hours of uneasy silence. Those hollow moments when the traffic dwindled. The drunks stumbled home and the air felt heavy enough to press against your chest. Detective Marcus Kane was halfway through a lukewarm coffee when his phone rang. The number wasn't saved. The voice on the other end was a rasp, laced with cigarette smoke and fear. "They're killing again, Detective." In the same alleys you walked before, the line went dead. It had been 10 years since Marcus touched the dark alley murders, a case that ended with nothing but dead ends. False confessions, and bodies that seemed to appear like whispers from the shadows. Back then, the victims were nameless until the city claimed them, stuffing them into unmarked graves. The press stopped caring. The department buried the files, but some shadows refused to fade. He slid his coat on, feeling the weight of his old revolver in the pocket. The rain had started again, not a storm, but a steady, cold drizzle that made the streets glisten under the flickering neon. He knew exactly where he was going. The NYPD archive smelled of old paper and damp concrete. Marcus's boots left faint prints on the dusty floor as he moved toward a corner shelf stacked with forgotten cases. The dark alley murders file was still there, thick, heavy, and marked, with the faint smudge of fingerprints that could have been his own. He carried it to the lone desk lamp in the room. Inside, the faces stared back at him. Jane Doe, male victim number 7, the girl with the red scarf. All grainy black and white shots, all framed in the cruel truth of death. Notes in the margins caught his eye handwriting, not his own, cryptic words, underlined dates, a location circled 3 times. He didn't remember anyone else working the case leaving marks like these. That's when he noticed something chilling. Every circled date was today's date, just in different years. It was still taped off after all these years, though the yellow police tape had long since faded to white, a fraying in the rain. The alley behind Marlowe's bar was a stretch of cracked concrete, littered with broken bottles and shadows too. Dark to belong in this part of town. Marcus stood where they had found her. The first victim? Unnamed, unclaimed? The crime scene photo didn't do justice to the silence here. Every sound, the drip from a gutter, the hum of a distant streetlight felt wrong. The walls bore new graffiti, but the outlines of older. Tags still bled through like ghosts refusing to be painted over. Something rustled deeper inside. He reached for his gun. They called him Crates because he slept behind a stack of wooden boxes near the alley's mouth. A lifetime in the streets had carved deep lines in his face and given him eyes like wet gravel. "I told M what I saw," Crates muttered, clutching his blanket tighter. "But cops don't listen to ghosts." He said he'd seen a man that night, tall, wearing a hat that shadowed his face. He didn't just kill her, he spoke to her before doing it, like he knew her. Said something like, "You finally came back." Marcus felt a chill run through him. Crates swore the man had no reflection in the puddles that night. The rain grew heavier as Marcus left the alley, pulling his collar up against the cold. He could hear his own footsteps echo on the wet pavement, but then there was another set. Soft, deliberate, always stopping when he stopped, always matching his pace when he moved. He turned suddenly. Nothing. It's just empty streets and the glow of a lone traffic light swaying in the wind. He started walking again. The sound returned. This time, it was closer. Marcus's apartment looked like a conspiracy theorist's dream. Maps of Manhattan spread across his coffee table, corners curling from years of neglect. He took out the notes from the dark alley murders file and began plotting each location. With each pushpin, shape began to emerge, a crooked line twisting through lower Manhattan like a scar. It didn't trace a road, it traced an absence, a hollow space between streets, like an alley that had been erased from the city's memory. When he connected the dots, the shape resembled a key. Detective Lena Ruiz hadn't changed much, still sharpened, still moving like she owned the room. But her badge was heavier now, weighed down with years of compromises. She met Marcus in a corner booth at Doyle's Diner. Neon lights flickered across her face as she leaned in. You know you're digging into something the city wants buried. Marcus slid her the crime scene photos. Her eyes narrowed at one, a faint smear of paint in the corner of the frame. It's not paint, she said. That's a mark. I've seen it before. It was supposed to be on Mercer Street between two old brick tenements. Marcus had walked that route 100 times in the past, but tonight, when he turned the corner, it was gone. A new brick wall sealed the gap completely, seamless, as if it had been there for decades. The air smelled faintly of wet mortar, but on the other side of that wall, he could hear something, a faint drip, distant shuffle. He followed the sound down a narrow service lane, newspapers swirling around his ankles. Somewhere above, a shadow flitted across the rooftop. Then came the whisper, low, urgent, unmistakably human. It's not gone, it's hidden. Around, there was no one there, just the wind cutting between the buildings, carrying the smell of old rain and rotting brick. On a wall near the service lane, fresh graffiti stretched across the bricks, sharp, angular letters in bright red. The paint was still wet. It read, "They remember Marcus touched the letters and felt the faintest warmth, as if the wall had been touched by more than just paint." Somewhere in the distance, a siren wailed. But it wasn't a police siren. The rain came hard and sudden, hammering the city in sheets. Marcus was halfway down Delancey Street when the red and blue glow lit up the wet asphalt ahead. NYPD. Cruisers blocked off a side alley, officers moving with tense urgency. Someone waved him back, but he flashed his old badge and walked in. The body lay curled against the dumpster, water pooling around her hair. The killer's mark, a red angular symbol, was scrawled just above her head on the brick wall. This wasn't a copycat. This was the same hand, same precision, same message from 10 years ago. The victim's last known contact was a young street vendor who worked a cart near the subway station. By the time Marcus arrived, the cart was gone, and so was the vendor. The station was nearly empty. Just a few commuters and the echo of dripping water. On the tiled floor by the platform edge, a single wool cap lay abandoned. The train pulled away, leaving nothing but stale air and the faint metallic temps of fear. Lena called him to an old building off Mulberry Street. A neighbor had seen someone climbing the fire escape just after the rain started. Marcus shined his flashlight along the rungs. Their droplets of blood, fresh and bright against the rusted metal. The trail led up to the 3rd floor, then stopped abruptly. No footprints, no window left open, as if whoever it was had vanished into the brick itself. He spotted the suspect in the glow of Chinatown's neon, a dark figure slipping between food stalls. The steam from walks masking his escape, Marcus pushed through the crowd, ignoring the curses and shouts, eyes locked on the fleeing shadow. The suspect ducked under a rolling shutter, disappearing into a maze of back alleys lined with stacked crates and hanging laundry. By the time Marcus rounded the corner, the alley was empty. Hours later, Marcus sat at his desk, dripping rainwater onto the map from his coat pocket. He pulled a small object, a photograph that had fallen from the suspect's coat during the chase. The paper was yellowed, edges curled. It was a picture of a woman smiling faintly. On the back, in faded ink, was a name Marcus hadn't heard in a decade. The first victim. David stood at the mouth of the alley again, the one that had been haunting his dreams. The rain made the cracked pavement shimmer like a mirror, reflecting the broken neon signs overhead. But tonight was different. The far end of the alley looked farther, almost as if it had stretched. He took a slow step forward, feeling the air grow heavier with each movement. Somewhere deep within, the sound of dripping water merged with a faint whisper he couldn't make out. Halfway through, David stopped. His flashlight beam cut through the mist but stopped short, as if swallowed by darkness itself. And then movement. A figure stood perfectly still ahead, not moving, not breathing, just waiting. The shape was human, but wrong. The arms hung too low, the head tilted at an unnatural angle. David's pulse quickened. He called out, but the figure didn't answer. It only stepped backward, further into the darkness. David quickened his pace, determined to confront the figure. But after just a few steps, he stopped dead. A brick wall now stood where the alley should have continued. He turned, expecting to see the entrance behind him, but there was nothing. Only darkness. City sounds were gone, replaced by the soft, rhythmic sound of something breathing very close to his ear. In the wall, a small metal door appeared. No hinges, no handle, yet something about it felt inviting. Against every instinct, David reached out. The surface was warm, pulsing faintly under his fingertips. Then, with a click that echoed, unnaturally loud, the door swung inward on its own, revealing a staircase leading down into pitch black. The breathing stopped. Now there was only silence. David stepped inside. The air shifted immediately, thick, humid, and stale. The stairs seemed to spiral endlessly, each step creaking under his weight. As he descended, faint sounds returned, whispers but layered, overlapping, speaking. In languages he couldn't understand. The light above shrank until it was gone, and the stairs below stretched into infinity. The rain had stopped, but the streets still glistened under the yellow glow of the flickering lamps. Detective Marlowe stood at the mouth of the alley, staring into the darkness like it was staring back. His watch read 3:17 a.m., the exact minute. Every victim had entered this alley and vanished without a trace. He adjusted his coat collar against the damp chill. Every muscle in his body told him to turn around, to leave, to never come back. But he had promised the families, and promises. They were the only thing keeping him from drowning in the guilt that had followed him since the first disappearance. He stepped forward. The cobblestones under his shoes made a low, wet crunch. The air inside the alley was colder, heavier, as if he had stepped into a different pocket of the city, one that had been waiting for him. 5 steps in, Marlowe froze. He could hear footsteps behind him. At first, he thought it was just the echo of his own boots. But echoes didn't lag. These were a half-beat slower, perfectly matching his rhythm, but slightly late, as if someone were walking just behind him, mimicking every move. He spun around. Nothing. Only the mouth of the alley, now impossibly far away. It had been only seconds, yet it felt like he had walked deeper than he could have. His breath fogged in the air, visible in the faint light. The sound came again. Step, step, step. His hand went to his gun. Who's there? His voice bounced off the walls, swallowed almost instantly by the black. He pressed on, walking faster now. He could see the exit ahead, a faint rectangle of streetlight on the other side. Relief crept into his chest, till it didn't. The light vanished. In its place stood a brick wall, tall and unbroken, stretching from one side of the alley to the other. The mortar was wet, as if freshly laid, spray painted across the bricks. In dripping red were the words, "You shouldn't have come." Marlowe touched the wall. It was solid, real, but he knew this wall hadn't been here when he'd walked. By the alley earlier that night, his fingers trembled as he traced the paint. The drops weren't paint at all. They were warm. Marlowe. The whisper was soft, almost gentle, but it made every muscle in his body turn to ice. He turned slowly, gun raised. Standing there, only a few feet away, was his brother, the brother who had vanished 10 years ago, whose body was never found. He looked exactly as Marlowe remembered, down to the old leather jacket with a tear on the left sleeve. But there was something wrong with his eyes. Too dark, too deep, like they held the void itself. "You have to leave," his brother said, stepping closer. "Before they keep you too." Marlowe's throat was dry. "Who's they?" His brother smiled faintly. "You already know." The footsteps returned faster now, surrounding him. He could hear whispers in every direction, a dozen voices, none of them clear. The air seemed to vibrate, the damp bricks humming under his palm. Then, without warning, a blinding white light erupted from behind him, swallowing the alley in pure brightness. It burned through his closed eyelids, seared into his mind. He staggered back, shielding his face. The whispers turned into screams. The ground shifted under his feet, and then nothing. Silence. When he opened his eyes, he was standing back. At the mouth of the alley, his watch read 3:18 a.m. The alley looked normal, but he knew better. Somewhere inside, the alley was still waiting for him. And one day it would win.